The sacred festivals, a journey through time. The air was thick with the scent of burning oil lamps and freshly baked unleavened bread. The streets of Jerusalem were alive with the sounds of laughter, prayers, and the rhythmic beat of drums as thousands gathered for Passover, one of the holiest celebrations in the Jewish faith. Among the crowd, Daniel ben Ami, a young historian with an insatiable curiosity, walked cautiously through the narrow alleys of the old city. His heart pounded, not from the excitement of the festival, but from the cryptic letter he had received that morning. The letter, written in ancient Hebrew, bore only a few words. "Seek the truth within the festivals, and you shall find what was hidden." There was no signature, no indication of who had sent it, but something about the message unsettled him. As a scholar specializing in biblical texts, Daniel had spent years studying the spiritual meanings behind the feasts of the Torah. Yet never before had he been led to believe there was a deeper, hidden truth waiting to be uncovered. Clutching the parchment tightly, he made his way toward the Temple Mount, where the festival was in full swing. Families gathered to share meals, priests offered sacrifices, and songs of deliverance filled the air. But Daniel had little interest in the traditional celebrations. His mind was focused on the mysterious words of the letter. Who had sent it? And more importantly, what truth was he supposed to find? Little did he know, this night would mark the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything he had ever believed about the festivals, about faith, and about the very fabric of reality itself. The night deepened as Daniel ben Ami wove through the festive crowds. His mind fixated on the cryptic letter, the sounds of celebration, families sharing Passover meals, the chanting of psalms, the distant shofar blasts, felt strangely muted, as if he were moving through a dream. The letter's message was clear: there was a secret buried within the biblical festivals, and someone wanted him to find it. But where to start? Daniel had spent his life studying the history of these sacred observances. Yet he had never encountered anything suggesting a hidden layer of meaning beyond their spiritual significance. He turned a corner and found himself standing before the Western Wall, the last remnant of the Second Temple. Pilgrims pressed their foreheads against the ancient stones, whispering prayers that had echoed for generations. Daniel's fingers traced the parchment once more, his thoughts racing. Then, a voice, low and deliberate, broke through his concentration. "You seek the truth, do you not?" Daniel turned sharply. Standing a few feet away was an elderly man, cloaked in a dark robe, his eyes sharp despite his age. His beard was long and grey, his hands clasped before him in the manner of a rabbi. "Who are you?" Daniel asked, his pulse quickening. The man did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his robe and produced a small, leather-bound book. With deliberate slowness, he extended it toward Daniel. "Read," he said simply. Daniel hesitated, then took the book, his fingers brushing against the worn leather. He flipped it open, his eyes scanning the first page. The text was written in Aramaic, the ancient language of Jesus and the Jewish sages. He recognized the words instantly. The appointed times are not merely remembrances, but keys to the eternal mysteries. His breath caught. These were not just poetic reflections on the festivals, this was an entirely different perspective. The idea that the biblical feasts were keys suggested they were not just rituals, but something far more profound. He looked up to question the old man, but the stranger had already turned, walking away into the night. Daniel called after him, but the sounds of the festival swallowed his voice. He tried to follow, but by the time he reached the next street, the man had disappeared into the labyrinth of the old city. The only thing left was the book in his hands, the hidden calendar. Daniel hurried back to his study, a small room lined with ancient scrolls and religious manuscripts. He wasted no time flipping through the pages of the book, translating the Aramaic script with precision. The more he read, the more his pulse quickened. The book claimed that each biblical festival was not just a symbolic remembrance, but a coded message, a divine calendar foretelling the future. It spoke of patterns hidden in time, of cosmic cycles that repeated across history. It suggested that the major events of the world, wars, revolutions, even the rise and fall of nations, could be traced to the rhythms of these sacred days. And most shockingly, it claimed that one final festival had yet to be fulfilled, one that would signal the beginning of the end. Daniel's hands trembled as he turned the page. There, written in bold Aramaic letters, was the name of the missing festival, the Great Gathering. His mind raced. There was no such festival recorded in Jewish tradition. Could it be a lost observance? A prophecy yet to unfold? As he studied the text, he found references to passages in the Torah and the prophets, hints that this great gathering had been hidden in plain sight all along. But why? Why would such a crucial revelation be concealed? And then, another realization struck him, one that sent a chill down his spine. If this book was correct, then someone, somewhere, already knew about the prophecy, and they had been keeping it secret. The ancient inscription, determined to find answers, Daniel set out the next morning to visit one of the oldest synagogues in Jerusalem. He knew of an inscription there, carved into the stone centuries ago, that spoke of a festival not yet revealed to the world. If the great gathering was real, he needed to see proof. The synagogue was quiet when he arrived, the early morning light casting long shadows across the ancient walls. He made his way toward the back, where the inscription was said to be located. But as he approached, he stopped short. Someone was already there, a woman, dressed in a dark cloak, her fingers tracing the ancient letters carved into the stone. She turned slowly, her piercing blue eyes locking onto his. "You're not the only one looking for answers. Daniel Ben Ami," she said softly. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. Who was she? And how did she know his name? The woman's words hung in the air, thick with mystery. Daniel took a cautious step forward, his mind racing. How did she know his name? And more importantly, what did she know about the great gathering? "Who are you?" he asked. The woman studied him for a moment before responding. "My name is Rebecca, and like you, I'm searching for the truth." Her voice was steady, but there was something guarded in her expression. Daniel's instincts told him she wasn't revealing everything. He gestured toward the inscription she had been examining. "You know what this means, don't you?" Rebecca nodded. "It's a remnant of a prophecy that was erased from history. A prophecy that speaks of the final festival, one that has yet to come." Daniel felt a chill creep down his spine. Why was it erased? Rebecca hesitated, then turned back to the inscription, running her fingers over the ancient Hebrew letters. Because those in power feared it. She stepped aside, allowing Daniel to see the full engraving. The inscription was old, perhaps dating back to the Second Temple period. But despite its age, the words were still legible. "When the appointed time comes, the nations will gather, the hidden will be revealed, and the world will tremble before the one who calls them." Daniel's breath caught. This wasn't just about a festival. It was a prophetic event. The forbidden manuscripts. Rebecca pulled a folded parchment from her satchel and handed it to Daniel. "I need you to see this." Daniel unfolded the paper carefully. It was a copy of a manuscript, an old, weathered document filled with Hebrew script. His eyes scanned the text quickly. The festivals of old were given as shadows of what is to come. "The final gathering shall mark the reckoning, the unveiling of all things hidden. Those who know will be tested, and those who deny will fall." Daniel's hands trembled as he held the parchment. "Where did you find this?" Rebecca's gaze darkened. "In the archives of a monastery outside of Rome. It was locked away, buried among texts deemed too dangerous for the world to see." Daniel exhaled sharply. Why would they hide this? Rebecca hesitated before answering. "Because if this prophecy is true, it means history as we know it has been manipulated. It means the festivals were never just commemorations, but divine appointments leading to an event that will change everything." The watchers in the shadows. Before Daniel could respond, he felt a shift in the air, an unease creeping up his spine. He wasn't sure why, but suddenly, he felt as though they were being watched. Rebecca must have sensed it too, because she quickly grabbed his arm. "We need to leave, now." Daniel glanced around. The synagogue was empty, silent except for the flickering candlelight. But the sensation of being observed was undeniable. As they stepped outside, the narrow streets of the old city stretched before them, bathed in the golden glow of lanterns. Rebecca led him down a winding alley, moving with urgency. "Who are we running from?" Daniel whispered. Rebecca's expression was grim. "The ones who have spent centuries ensuring this prophecy is never revealed." Daniel's pulse quickened. "You mean there's a group actively suppressing this knowledge?" Rebecca nodded. "They call themselves the Keepers. They exist in the shadows, ensuring that humanity never uncovers what was meant to be known." Daniel struggled to process the weight of her words. If what she was saying was true, then this wasn't just an academic pursuit anymore, it was a battle for the truth itself. A hidden message in the stars. Rebecca led Daniel to a rooftop overlooking the city. From here, the Temple Mount was visible, its golden dome gleaming under the night sky. She pointed toward the heavens. The Great Gathering isn't just about a physical event. It's written in the stars. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Rebecca reached into her satchel again, this time pulling out a star chart. The ancient Israelites didn't just mark time by the sun and moon, they followed celestial patterns. And every major biblical event coincided with astronomical alignments. Daniel studied the chart. Are you saying the Great Gathering is connected to a specific cosmic event? Rebecca nodded. And that event is approaching. She traced a date on the parchment. It was only months away. Daniel felt his heart race. If this prophecy is real, then what happens when the appointed time comes? Rebecca looked at him, her expression unreadable. That's what we need to find out. But we're running out of time. The final clue. Daniel knew there was only one place where they could find more answers. There's a vault beneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, he said, a place where ancient texts are kept hidden from the public. If this prophecy was erased from history, there may still be fragments of it left there. Rebecca hesitated. That place is heavily guarded. Daniel met her gaze. Do we have another choice? She sighed. No, we don't. Without another word, they turned and disappeared into the night, unaware that in the shadows, a figure watched their every move. And he wasn't alone. The cold stone corridors beneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre were silent except for the sound of Daniel and Rebecca's hurried footsteps. The air was damp, thick with the scent of aged parchment and candle wax. This was a place where time itself seemed to stand still, a vault hidden beneath one of the holiest sites in the world. Home to ancient manuscripts too dangerous to be revealed. Daniel clutched a key he had obtained years ago during his studies, a replica of one rumored to open a forgotten section of the archives. He had never dared use it. Until now. Rebecca glanced behind them. We don't have much time. If the keepers are following us, they'll know exactly where we're headed. Daniel didn't respond. He inserted the key into a rusted lock embedded in the stone wall. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a click. The door creaked open, revealing a chamber lined with dusty scrolls and bound manuscripts. Rebecca exhaled sharply. It's all here. They stepped inside, closing the door behind them. The dim light from their lanterns illuminated row upon row of forgotten texts. Locked away from the world, Daniel moved quickly, scanning the shelves for anything that might contain clues about the Great Gathering. Then, he saw it. A manuscript, smaller than the rest, hidden behind a row of Latin texts. The cover was cracked leather, its pages yellowed with age. The title, written in faded Hebrew, sent a chill through his veins. The final appointed time. The prophecy unfolds. With shaking hands, Daniel flipped open the book. His eyes moved rapidly over the text, translating aloud. When the appointed time arrives, the nations shall be divided. A great gathering shall take place. Those who seek the truth will be called, and those who fear it will oppose them. The earth shall tremble, and the heavens will declare the hour. This will be the final festival, marking the fulfillment of all that was written. He looked up at Rebecca. This isn't just about a hidden celebration. This is a warning. Rebecca's expression was grim. It's a prophecy of a coming event, a shift in history. And if we've found this, then the keepers already know. Before Daniel could respond, the door behind them slammed open. Betrayal in the dark. A figure stepped forward, cloaked, his face hidden in shadow. But the voice was unmistakable. You should not have come here. Daniel's blood ran cold. It was Professor Levi, his former mentor. You knew about this. Daniel whispered, realization dawning. Levi stepped closer, his expression unreadable. Of course, but some truths are not meant for the world to know. Rebecca's hand instinctively moved toward her satchel, but Levi raised a warning finger. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Daniel clenched his fists. Then explain it to us. Levi sighed. The festivals were given as markers, guiding humanity toward something greater. But the final festival, the Great Gathering, was never meant to be revealed before its time. If the world learns of it too soon, chaos will follow. Rebecca stepped forward. So you keep it hidden? Let a secret society decide who gets to know the truth? Levi's expression darkened. If you had seen what I have seen, you would understand. Some knowledge destroys more than it enlightens. The final choice. A tense silence filled the chamber. Then, Rebecca grabbed the manuscript and held it tight. "We're taking this." Levi didn't flinch. "And where will you go? Do you think revealing this will change anything? The world isn't ready." Daniel hesitated. A part of him knew Levi wasn't lying. Knowledge was powerful and dangerous. But another part of him, the part that had been searching his whole life for answers, knew that this prophecy was meant to be found. He looked at Rebecca, then at the book in his hands. And he made his decision. Without another word, Daniel turned and ran. Rebecca followed, the manuscript clutched in her arms. Levi shouted after them, but they didn't stop. They raced through the corridors, past the vaults of forgotten history, up the ancient staircases leading back into the world above. The gathering begins. They emerged into the night air, their hearts pounding. The city stretched before them, alive with the glow of lanterns and the sound of distant prayers. Daniel turned to Rebecca. "We need to disappear. Fast." Rebecca nodded. "And then what?" Daniel glanced down at the manuscript. "Then, we find the others." Rebecca frowned. "The others?" Daniel took a deep breath. "The ones who have been waiting for this prophecy to be revealed. The ones who understand that the time has come." For centuries, the great gathering had been hidden, suppressed, erased from history. But no longer. Somewhere out there, people were searching for the truth. And Daniel knew it was time to bring them together. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, one thing was certain: the final festival had begun.